Hey everyone, and welcome. So today we're going to break down a book that has been a total game changer for so many people. Robin Sharma's The 5 a.m. Club. We're going to dig into this one simple, but honestly pretty radical idea. What if you could completely reshape your entire life just by changing how you spend the very first hour of your day? All right, let me just ask you something right off the bat. What if you could feel like you've already won, like you're ahead of the game, totally in control, before you've even poured your first cup of coffee? It sounds amazing, right? Well, that's the core promise of the 5 a.m. Club, and we're about to see exactly how it works.
Okay, so the very first concept we need to get our heads around is what Sharma calls the victory hour. Look, this isn't about punishing yourself by waking up at some ungodly hour. It's about something much more powerful. It's about carving out this one sacred, quiet, totally peaceful chunk of time that is just for you, before the emails, the notifications, and the world's chaos starts knocking on your door.
So what does that actually mean? Well, the victory hour is that golden window, that 60 minutes between 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. And here's the absolute key. Its only purpose is for you to deliberately invest in yourself. Your mind, your physical health, your spirit, whatever you want to call it. It's about starting your day proactively on your own terms instead of just reacting to everyone else's.
This quote, it really nails the entire philosophy. It's so much more than just a catchy phrase. It's practically a formula. Sharma's whole point is that the way you handle that first hour creates this incredible ripple effect. It sets the tone and the standard for literally everything else that happens in your day. It's powerful stuff.
So, let's say you do it. You drag yourself out of bed at 5 a.m. Great, now what? You can't just sit there and scroll through social media for an hour, right? That would defeat the whole purpose. Thankfully, Sharma gives us a super simple but incredibly effective blueprint for how to use this time. Let's look at the formula that makes this hour so transformative. And here it is, the 20-20-20 formula. It's genius, it's just how simple it is. You chop up that hour into 3 20-minute blocks. The first 20 minutes are for moving. We're talking intense exercise, something that gets you sweating and gets your heart rate up. You want to flood your brain with all those amazing feel-good chemicals like endorphins. Next, 20 minutes to reflect. This is your quiet time. You could be journaling, meditating, praying, or even just planning out your day with a really clear head. And finally, the last 20 minutes are for growth. Read a book, listen to a podcast, take an online course, anything that expands your mind and teaches you something new. Move, reflect, grow. That's the recipe. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. Okay, this all sounds really nice, like some motivational poster, but is it the real deal? Is there any actual science to this? And the answer is yes, absolutely. There are some really solid, science-backed reasons why this specific morning routine can be so unbelievably effective. Just think about the contrast here for a second. A normal morning for most of us is totally reactive, right? The alarm blares, we grab our phone, and bam, we are instantly hit with a tidal wave of emails, news alerts, and other people's problems. It's stressful. But a 5 a.m. morning, that's proactive. It's quiet. It's focused. You are in the driver's seat, setting the tone instead of just getting dragged along for the ride. And here's the real magic, the why behind it all. In those pre-dawn hours, your brain is in a totally different state. The world is quiet, so you have zero distractions. And because of that, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for focus and critical thinking, is sharper. You're more creative. And your neuroplasticity, which is just the fancy way of saying your brain's ability to learn and literally rewire itself, is at its absolute peak. It's the perfect environment for deep work and problem solving.
Okay, so we get the what and we get the why, but let's be real for a minute. The biggest challenge, the part where most people fall off, is the how. How in the world do you actually make this a habit that sticks, without just hitting snooze a dozen times and feeling totally exhausted? Let's get into the practical side of things.
So the book gives us a super practical roadmap. First, don't try to go from waking up at 8 a.m. to 5 a.m. overnight. That's a recipe for failure. Start slow. Just wake up 15 minutes earlier for a week, then another 15. Second, get everything ready the night before. Lay out your gym clothes, put your journal and book on your desk. Remove all the friction. Third, and you knew this was coming, this hour is a strict, no excuses, no phone zone. And finally, commit to being consistent. It's way better to do a messy, imperfect victory hour every single day than a perfect one once a week. We actually talk a lot more about habit building and digital detoxes over on our Spotify podcast if you want to go deeper on how to make these things stick.
Let's talk about how this plays out in real life. The book tells this great story about a struggling artist. He was talented, for sure, but he was always distracted, always procrastinating, and he just couldn't find that deep focus to create his masterpiece. So he started using his victory hour for one thing and one thing only, his art. And that quiet, consistent, daily practice started to compound until eventually it took him from being totally unknown to world-renowned. And it's not just for creative folks. There's another story about an entrepreneur who constantly felt like she was drowning, just playing catch-up all day. She started using her 5 a.m. hour for deep strategic thinking. No interruptions, just her and the biggest challenges in her business. That quiet time became her secret weapon, her competitive edge, and it led to absolutely massive growth for her company. And that really brings us to the secret sauce of this whole thing. It is not about one heroic, life-altering morning. It's about the slow, steady, unbelievable power of tiny improvements stacking up, day after day after day. This quote says it all, right? The small things you do every single day are what lead to the stunning, mind-blowing results down the road.
So that's the big idea. The concept is simple, the blueprint is clear, and the potential results, well, they can change everything. Which really just leaves one last question, and this one's for you. The alarm's going to go off tomorrow morning one way or another. So how are you going to use your victory hour?